Well, hi everyone. Okay, so if you have clicked this link to watch this video, that means that you have selected to enroll in a grant writing class that is intermediate for the price of $20. So thank you for enrolling. As I mentioned before, so in order to become a great grant writer, you have to have your writing critiqued. And this intermediate class is a hands-on class. So the slides that I'm going to go through now will give an overall picture of writing grants. Now, I'm assuming that you've already watched the free grant writing videos that are found on my link tree account that is in the bio, in my bio. You want to be able to devote some uninterrupted time to watching both those videos and this particular video as well. If you're serious about learning how to write grant proposals and to write well, then I strongly encourage you to take the free grant writing classes seriously. If you feel like you're more advanced than those, then I encourage you to take this section seriously and to participate in the assignments that I will give you and send your writing to me. So let's move forward. This slide, demystifying high impact proposal writing for success. Again, you may have seen my other video where I was telling you about a clerical worker who was able to help her immediate supervisor to critique a grant proposal. And she did so well that after they were awarded that particular grant, her supervisor promoted her. And that's what I like to see. So I want you to be able to improve your knowledge and confidence of competitive grant writing. And I'm going to talk about how the proposal sections are linked and how to incorporate high impact grant writing strategies. So remember, the grant writing training that I do is not just for forms. It is not just for filling out paperwork. It is writing a proposal narrative. So when you want to need to create a grant proposal that is sure to get funded, it's just like telling a story. It's writing a book, it's telling a story, and you're linking all of these parts. So you'll see some repetition, but these parts have to feed off each other. So your grant proposal is made up of goals and objectives, evaluation, the project plan, the budget, the abstract, the timeline. There are a lot of different components of a grant proposal, and they have to be linked. There's some overlapping again, but they have to talk to each other. And then again, we talk about those key connections I mentioned. They have to be linked. They are repetitive. They're used to summarize, these sections used to summarize your abstract, and they do not contradict each other. So for an example, if you say that um, you are writing a proposal because the children in your community need to improve their reading skills. But then in the needs section, when you discuss your data, you say, well, the children in the community score in the 98th percentile on their reading. Well, that's a contradiction. If they're scoring in the 98th percentile nationwide and their reading scores, then you have not made a case for why you need funds in order to have a reading program. This is an example of one of the writing exercises that you will see that you will have to take and complete. So this writing assignment I've taken out of a current RFP, request for proposal or request for application, or a NOFO from, I believe it's with respect to a food or gardening program. So in this exercise, you are to describe the intended underserved group. You have to explain the needs of the local community or food system and provide at least one source of supporting data, such as demographics, income, geographic characteristics of the area or community. Then you have to describe how limited access to fresh, healthy, and affordable food is an issue in this community. So when you just look at that, those sentences, how many sentences? One, two complete sentences are asking for a lot of information. And I'm going to show you how in your writing exercise, how to break that down and then write a couple of paragraphs or two or more about this. I don't want you to be intimidated, but this is the type of writing that you have to be prepared to do, and you have to do it well, and I know you can do it. Okay? So, high impact grant writing. I have a video in one of my um, link tree in the free grant writing training classes. But let's just see if I could go to it. Let me click here and see if it will play. Okay. Okay, so um, this one. All right, so disregard the PDF download that I mentioned in the video. That was for a different class that was held. That video, if you were unable to hear it well, you may have to go back and listen to it again. Actually, if all of this is very new to you, you may have to listen to or read over high impact grant writing strategies several times because it is sometimes can be very difficult for people to understand. But just remember that what you're trying to do is to show the funding agency why you deserve the money. And high impact strategies are used to within grant proposals to do just that. So this is one of the handouts instead of looking for the other one. This is a handout here on 9 high impact strategies, use of data, data visualization, pie charts, and so forth, use of videos if they are allowed, but if probably not in a grant proposal, but you can have videos on your social media pages or your website to show that people in your organization are really working hard and you want to talk about statistics and explain what they're doing. A timeline is a one-page visual that shows your plans. Testimonials, I talked about those before, quotes from people who receive benefits. Parents make, really good quotes when it comes to school or community-based programs. Impact, you want to tell, for an example, the number of children that were served and so forth. Photos bring money. So as many photos and videos as you can have about your program, not necessarily in your proposal because it may not be allowed, but definitely on your social media pages. Then social media, is really powerful these days. So you definitely want to use social media in your programs. Illustrations or diagram. Um, People have different learning styles, and the grant reviewers have different learning styles. So you definitely want to have illustrations or diagrams and charts and graphics in your grant proposal. And then quotes, we've talked about those already. Quotes from partners. If you're partnering with a church, then certainly a sentence or two about from the church pastor or another member about the impact that your organization has made. This is just something else that I've added into the conversation about high impact because now the use of apps have really advanced, and AI has advanced what people are doing with respect to AI. So you want to be able to look for some apps that are project based that allow you to coordinate and to identify project tasks to keep everything related, all of the different parts and tasks related. And these apps and software applications, they define who should do what task within a project, and they're connected. You can estimate the project time frame, within the project management program as well. And then here are just some examples of using social media to create community involvement and in sustainability efforts. So grant funding has a specific time frame. You may receive funds if you're awarded for 1 year, could be 3 years, could be 5 years. So you need to be able to say within your proposal, if it is required, how you will sustain your project after the funding ends. So you have to be able to do that as well. And these are just some examples of how to engage your community through social media so that you can continue the conversation about what you're doing, get involvement, have polls and drawings and online fundraisers. So these are just some examples of that. And so this slide where I discuss lessons learned. So, throughout my 20, 30 something plus years of writing grant proposals, I've learned that a proposal can be perfectly written and may not be funded. Now, there are a lot of different reasons for that. You know, the funding may run out, or just it could just be anything. Because a lot of the, well, not a lot, but the federal grant funds and state require some congressional approvals or approvals in your state senate, your state representative. So there are a lot of reasons why it may not be funded. Political climates can influence the type of funding and what is to be included in RFPs. I remember when accountability became a buzzword in funding opportunities. When you're funded, I think, now this is just my opinion, if it's state or federal funding, it may be best to remain nonpartisan because you really you have to serve everyone, and funding is for the people, the organizations, the community that you're serving. There's a lot that I can say about that, but that is just something that was explained to me and us and a lot of different groups with respect to grant funding. Group proposal writing must be well coordinated. This is something that I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend, that if you have someone writing the needs section, someone else writing the abstract, someone doing the budget, someone doing the project plan, someone doing the evaluation. There needs to be, see, those are different writing styles. So there needs to be one particular person who's going to bring everything together. Because without it, it just looks like, and it reads as though it's disjointed, which it is, because you have a lot of different writing styles. And then finally, it is always okay to call the funding agency and ask questions when you're writing a grant proposal. They may refer to their frequently asked questions. They may not be able to answer certain questions, but I've never had an agency that was rude to me or didn't want to answer something. If they could not answer it, it was a question that they were legally could not answer, then they referred me to the frequently asked questions. So I'm going to just show you how I explain how I get started writing proposals, and it can be very overwhelming, but it just takes a lot of preparation. You have to read the RFP, the I have RFP twice. You have to read the RFP or the RFA or the NOFO. Request for proposals or request for application or the notice of funding opportunity several times and use a highlighter. Go and read the application checklist several times. You gather all of your material based on what it is that they're asking you to do. And I have in the writing assignment, I'm going to show you an example of that. Read the scoring rubric. This is how the grant reviewers are going to score your application. You want to organize your first draft based on the NOFO, the application itself, the scoring rubric, and preparation also includes gathering data. And we'll talk more about that too. Then, as far as writing for completion and clarity, you have to read and reread your draft. Get someone else to read it, keep reading it, keep reviewing for page limitations, and then edit and edit again. There's this link right here, but I'm going to go over something you can, a writing assignment. So you don't necessarily have to, but if you want to go look for a current funding opportunity, you can use this link. I think that one is open until April the 9th. But you can also always go to grants.gov to locate other funding opportunities. So this is a video on how I get started with writing. Let's see if it will play. If not, let me know and I can provide this video as well. Okay, so one of the first things I do when I am starting to write a grant proposal is to copy the project narrative information into a Word document. This is from the RFP or the NOFO for a project that is currently due. You want to make sure that you read each of the instructions. This one tells us to contain, our project narratives must contain at least headings 1 through 4 below. I'm only showing heading 1. And then when I read it, I go through and highlight or underline as I'm reading or bold. I have to present a statement of need. I have to describe the areas or communities being served. I have to describe the intended underserved group, explain how the project is aligned with the purpose and priorities of the program, and so forth and so on. So make sure that, of course, you've read the RFP online to be sure that you're eligible for the NOFO or the RFA. Then, of course, I print it out and I go through and underline. And then I put this in a Word document so that I can start writing the proposal according to the instructions. So you see I'm going through here and I am reading, I'm scrolling down, project objectives, and so forth. And that is actually what I do. Okay. So here I'm talking about organizational secrecy. And I put this in because in the past, when I was first learning how to write grant proposals, you just couldn't. And I worked in grant funded programs my entire professional career, with the exception of maybe 5 years. But it was very difficult to see the actual proposal. There was some kind of secret or something. But in my experience, I have learned that it is very important to involve all staff in grant writing training opportunities. Everyone, even clerical staff, they may not fully understand all of that because, this most of these trainings are graduate level or above. But I have found that people who make the best editors may be some of your clerical employees. I always recommend group training within your organization because that is the best way to build a pipeline of grant writers. And, it just takes time. The organizations and universities that are most successful and have 20, 30 years of grant funding behind them are those that understood the importance of building a pipeline of grant writers. Because your clerical employees, your administrative staff, will not always be in those positions. They're also pursuing higher education. So they're pursuing bachelor's degrees and master's degrees. So they're going to work up, you want to keep them so that you're building a pipeline. My ongoing training that I do, everything in the beginning level is free. Intermediate, advanced, and organizational, those are all different types of training components. But I do have within this special I'm running for $20 through April 2nd, is basically beginning and intermediate combined. This just shows my contact information. If you need to email me, use grants and nonprofits at gmail.com. If you want to connect with me on TikTok, I use my Ready FC College account for that, as well as Facebook, Ready FC Global, that's Ready for College. And there's a long story about that. I no longer have an after school and summer camp program, but my after school and summer camp program from 20 years ago was called Ready for College. So I just do a lot of free things on those. My Instagram is Chandra.Williams, PhD, and my YouTube is at Dr. Chandra Terrell Williams. On my YouTube channel is where you will find a lot of the different videos, the free grant writing videos, that high impact video, and I will upload the how I got started, the one I just went over, how I get started with writing grant proposals. In the center is my Linktree account, and that account is also Chandra Williams PhD, but I have a link in all of my bios that will take you directly here, and it shows all of the information about me and the free grant writing videos. And also, there should be a pay link on there. If it's not there, I'll put it back on there to pay the $20 in order to take this intermediate hands-on grant writing class. That is about it for this video, and thank you for your participation.